Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the KPC podcast. I'm Hannah Thurman.
And I'm Carson Turner.
And today we'll be talking about Oscar ratings are down. Kyle Kasha, a
survivor from
of the shooting.
Yeah, the Florida.
Yes, and then the teachers protesting in West Virginia. And then I'll be talking about Sam Nunberg and his craziness that has occurred in the last 2 days, as well as the deal with DACA. So, Carson, do you want to take it away with your first story?
Yes, I do. So the first thing I want to talk about, which we kind of talked about whenever the Grammys happened, the Grammys suffered from a drop in ratings because the musicians are surprisingly not politicians. I didn't know that, but they sure talk a lot about politics. And as a result, not as many people watched because they don't want to see people who make millions of dollars talk about issues that they don't know anything about. But the Oscars, they did not learn their lesson, and as a result, it says here, this is from CNN Money, says the 90th Academy Awards on Sunday drew an average of 26.5 million viewers, which is a 20% drop from last year's telecast. That's one-fifth less viewers. And I think what's kind of funny is, I was thinking about this morning. Maybe what movie won? The Deep Sea? That weird thing. We watched the trailer.
The Shape of Water.
The Shape of Water.
I made my friends watch that when I got home yesterday.
Oh, really?
I was like, you guys have to watch this.
Best movie of the year. I feel like that was picked because that movie did not, it was, as far as I'm concerned, was not political. So it's like, they need to stop talking about politics because this movie about having a relationship with the fish won because every other film was trying to get super political.
Everyone needs to watch that trailer.
Yeah, seriously. Check out the trailer. I'm half convinced to watch the movie. I actually really want to see what happens.
One of my friends, she's studying abroad in Italy right now, actually, but she's like, oh no, like I watched that, like it was the weirdest movie I've ever seen.
So she wasn't
like it was
even a
just
fan?
So odd.
Huh.
How can did you watch the trailer?
Well, yeah.
I can't imagine anyone liking that movie. That's why I'm so surprised that it won. But
it might have had a really deep story that the trailer didn't show. Sometimes trailers make the movies look really bad, then when you watch it, it's really good, or vice versa. But yeah, as a result, Weird Fish Relationship movie is the best film because people keep trying to politicize things that don't need to be politicized. People turn on the Oscars because they want to shy away from politics. And especially us, since we're covering politics, sometimes it's nice at the end of the day to sit down, watch something and go, there's no way anything political gets involved. And then Jimmy Kimmel gets on stage and starts talking. You're like, oh, crap. But hopefully they'll learn from their mistake, which they probably won't. But eventually they'll stop talking about it. Or maybe we'll stop talking about politics.
Never.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in more serious news, I suppose, political news, DACA officially is probably most likely going to end. So Trump promised in September or November, really early in the fall, that by March 5th he would put DACA to an end, and he asked Congress members to kind of make a new idea of what it would be, write it up, and that never happened. So, and he kept bringing it to court, and so finally a court said, you know what, you have the right to end DACA. They ruled it such, saying that, this could be unlawful, but we don't agree with it. So one of the judges on the case who wrote the opinion, I think, said that, let me find it here. I'm looking at a Washington Post article. I don't know if I can find it, but he wrote that the president's decision was premised on a legitimate belief that DACA was unlawful and should be wound down in an orderly manner while giving Congress a window to act and adopt an appropriate legislative solution. The administrative record, the basis from which the court must make its judicial review, does not support the notion that it was targeting a subset of the immigrant population, and it does not support any supposition that the decision was derived on a racial animus. So we'll see what happens. I'm very interested to see where that goes. I will maintain my belief that Congress is never going to come up with a solution together on that. One thing that's frustrating me is that Trump keeps calling on Democrats. We're ready to make an agreement. We're ready to talk about this. Where are you guys? Like, why aren't you? You guys are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, the Democrats are the ones that are pushing for. They don't want this program to end. But I think Trump kind of forgot that it's Republican-controlled House, Republican-controlled Senate.
Mm-hmm.
He is in the White House. It's all controlled by the Republicans.
Uh-huh.
So obviously some Republicans are not supporting what you're putting through either. So maybe talk to them, because that's what, 5 people plus, it's easier to probably get those people on side than your Democrats. But I think just like any other president, I'm sure would take to the other side and say, well, it's their fault. But obviously it's you should easily be passing legislation with both controlled house, that just doesn't make sense to me. But
in my political science 150 class, my teacher was telling me something about how that was the same thing when Obama first came into office, and they thought Obamacare was going to happen, would happen instantly, even though he had the full Democratic House and Senate. But for some reason, they had a lot of trouble getting Democrat-based policies through, which I don't know the reason behind that, but that's an interesting pattern.
I think probably just because there's moderates too. Moderates do get elected, and that's kind of where the gray area is. But because not everyone's going to be completely left-leaning or right-leaning.
That's true.
But those are the people that you need to get on your side,
Yeah.
Because this could be an easier fix. But
yeah. Speaking of an easier fix, maybe this is an easier fix, maybe this is not. One of the survivors of the Parkland Massacre shooting, who I talked about last Friday, who originally he didn't receive barely any media attention because he had more right-leaning views about it. And when I say media attention, I mean he wasn't on CNN, he wasn't invited to participate in the town hall meeting centered towards people like the survivors of the shooting. I know the police officer was there. Marco Rubio was there. Good gosh, I keep forgetting her name. Diana Roche for the NRA. She was there. Kyle was not invited. And the town hall reporter or writer Guy Benson, one of my favorite writers, he did a piece on him, and it was just kind of talking about what he's done. And Kyle is a very interesting person. Despite him having more right-leaning views, he seems to be really focusing on a much more partisan solution to this problem. He's still part of the Never Again movement, even though he's a big supporter of the Second Amendment. He said he's reached out to his classmates because he wants to talk to them and actually help pass legislation, and was a huge criticizer of them when it was David Hogg and another kid. They went on Bill Maher show and bragged about how the White House called them and they hung up and they didn't even talk to them. And he was saying how disrespectful that was, even if they didn't agree with him, being in a position to actually use their voice to make a change, but just wanted to hang up because I didn't feel like talking to him. He said that he couldn't believe that. And if he had received a call, he would have definitely done something about it. But he has been traveling. I know he went to New York recently. He's actually talking to legislators about working on some form of plan to prevent types of things from happening. He's a very proactive kid. He's only 16 years old too. And what's interesting is that he's not a political guy. In this piece, he kind of talked about how he felt like he was thrown into it, and now he is forced to be the only minority, or he's part of this small minority of pro-gun students from the school. And he's actually a business student. And one of the things that was really interesting, while I'm searching for that, I'll bring this up. During the shooting, he said he was spending his time trying to calm down all the students who were hyperventilating, making sure that they were still going to be okay and everything like that. So being very proactive in making sure everyone felt safe, which is such a good thing to do. And he has this app. Yeah, so it says right here, he and a friend have developed an app designed to provide emotional support from non-official counselors, but volunteers. So it's kind of like you download the app, you sign up as a volunteer, or you sign up as someone who needs counseling, you get a match, and then you can start talking and support someone, which, gosh, what a nice guy. Like, that's such a great thing. Idea. And I think we need more people like this. I mean, he originally was not looked at in a good light because of his views, but he's not even using his views as leverage to get into to popularity. It's because of his views that had ostracized him from the media's attention in the first place. Originally, he wasn't verified on Twitter. He just got verified today, where the other students were verified much quicker, like 2 weeks quicker. And I just think that we need more people who are setting aside what they personally think, moving towards the center to actually start discussion, to actually start getting things done. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that, Town Hall was able to write this piece, giving him a lot more light. And I'm glad that he also has that verification on Twitter. People are going to take him a little bit more seriously. And yeah, I mean, that's really all I've got to say about that. You have any comments on it, or?
Yeah, I think that app is a really great idea. I'm interested to see how far it gets or how big it gets, but it's a really great idea. I mean, he's really doing something. So,
do you think the other students should set aside their beliefs and move towards the center? Or do you think that they should still be pressing on what they're pressing?
Well, those are their beliefs, and I think that they need to go with what they believe, and they want strict gun control laws, and so then they should fight for those, whereas this kid doesn't necessarily want that, so then he should support what he wants. I mean, they both went through the same thing. People come out with different opinions. So.
And I think in the grand scheme of things, that just shows how complicated the situation is. Like, you can't get into a Twitter argument with someone over gun control. These people experienced the same exact thing, but they reacted completely different. And that shows how complicated these issues are, and they truly take a lot of time, a lot of critical thinking, a lot of listening from both sides to actually understand the root of the problem and how to start solving it. And just bickering at people is not going to solve anything.
Well, because before the shooting happened at this school, I'm sure that these students, the ones that are fighting for stricter gun control laws are the ones that before that happened at their school wanted gun control laws. I'm sure then this kid was probably like, it's a mental health issue, or it's, like, we don't need gun control. Like, there's a different problem. It's the people, not the guns.
Yeah.
And so even if they are placed in that same situation, that doesn't mean that their
all gonna come
beliefs are going to change. Right. They're just going to strengthen their beliefs from the start, is what I would imagine would happen. And I think that's what's kind of going down. So.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to you have another story.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about Sam Nunberg and his craziness that has happened in the last couple days. So he is a old campaign aide for President Trump, and he was subpoenaed for testifying against on the Mueller trial, and he basically went on a bunch of news outlets and did phone interviews and was saying, I'm not going to cooperate. I'm not going to, arrest me. I'd love to see them arrest me. I'm not going to.
Like the Trump administration?
No, Sam Nunberg was saying this.
Sam Nunberg was
got
saying
subpoenaed, and he said that he wasn't going to go. He was going to resist the subpoena, defy it. He wasn't going to go to this trial. He doesn't want to testify. When you get subpoenaed, that means that you have to go.
Yeah.
And so if you don't go, then you're basically in contempt of court. So you could go to jail, you could get fined. It ranges from severity. But he was basically saying, I'd love to see, I think on the CNN interview that I watched, he said, I'd love to see them arrest me, or, thinking that he's above the law just because he was on Trump's campaign, whatever. But now, that was yesterday, when it kind of all shit hit the fan, basically, with him. But today, now he's saying, you know what? I'm going to cooperate with whatever they want. A quote that is from CNN. He told CNN that. So now he's saying that he's going to cooperate it. He's saying, I'm working on organizing. I'm just trying to get this done so I can get back to my life, try to have a life and work on my job. Because basically, yesterday he was saying, I don't want to do that so they can just talk about everything that I've done. They already know that. I can give them that information. He didn't want to take weeks out of his life to do such a thing, and now I guess he's saying that he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But this guy I highly recommend to watch the interviews, listen to the interviews. It's very, very entertaining.
Yeah.
I was laughing yesterday when I was watching them.
It reminds me one time whenever I was in middle school with my friends, and we really hated this math class and this math teacher in particular, and we were like, we're just not going to go to class, screw it. They can do whatever they want. They can suspend us or mark our cards, because that was a big deal back then. And then, lo and behold, we just showed up to class anyways,
Yeah.
which
I
is
mean,
really funny.
him saying that, arrest me. I'd love to see them arrest me.
Yeah.
I'm not going. Like, the point of a subpoena is to get someone to talk in court.
Yeah.
If a witness or someone is saying, I'm not going to do that, like, you cannot get me in court. I will not do this. Like, if they are important to the case, they're going to get subpoenaed.
Yeah.
And like, you have to go. Like, it's a law. Like,
Right.
You can't just say, nah, I don't think I'm going to go. So it was just kind of stupid of him, in my opinion, to even think that he could
just
be going on
evade
all
the
these
law.
news outlets and be like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to go.
That's kind of weird. It almost makes me think that he just said that so people would talk about him and get his name in the news.
Well,
or
it was all I was seeing on everything yesterday. It was just, and yesterday he was saying, he's continuously said, I think that they have something on Trump. Like, I think they have something on him. I don't know what, but I think they have something on them. And everyone was like, well, like, what is it? Like, you were on the campaign, you were an aide, like, what do you think it is? And he's like, I don't know, but they definitely, it's the way that they ask the questions, making it sound like they have something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Seems like an interesting dude.
Yeah.
I'd love to get to know him, meet him, have a one-on-one conversation with him, but
yeah.
That's all I have on that craziness.
Okay, and then something that I picked up yesterday is that there are a lot of teachers protesting, and it's in West Virginia. West Virginia's teachers walk off the job protesting low pay and benefit cuts. Right, benefit cuts. And apparently it's been going on for 8 days, maybe 9 now since this is from yesterday.
Yes.
So 9 days they've been protesting because they want higher pay and they want their benefits not cut, which actually you had a lot of insight on this whenever we were talking about it yesterday, because you said, what did you say yesterday?
Well, I don't remember the exact amount that they're getting paid right now, but they're some of the lowest paid educators in the country. And so I believe all 55 counties are, where every school, I think, except for private schools, are basically out of class because of this. But they met with legislatures in West Virginia and the governor, and they ended up deciding on a 5% raise. And then they went through Congress, and it ended up being a 4% raise. So that's why they're still protesting, because like basically the governor's like, yep, 5% raise. Like,
give him a 4.
We decided on this together. Like, this is what's going to happen. And then Congress is like, no, we can't do that. It has to be 4% raise, because I think the number was $13 million between 4 and 5%. So that's,
where are you going to get that?
Right.
Every
and that
year.
was the concern.
Yeah.
Was because they just didn't know where that money was going to come from.
Oh.
So.
Interesting. I mean, I think 4 out of the 5%, like if I were a teacher, I'd take that over no raise at all. But that's interesting that they're staying super consistent on the extra 1%. I wonder if maybe they agreed upon a certain percentage now and then the rest later. But by the way they're protesting, probably not.
Yeah, I think that they'll stay protesting until they get what they are asking for.
Yeah. I mean, if I could not go to work or school for a cause where I wouldn't be penalized, I don't think they'd get penalized because there's so many of them. I mean, I would keep doing
the
it.
country needs educators.
Yeah,
you need
and that's the
teachers
other
in
thing.
every school.
Especially,
so.
the importance of teachers are insane.
And that would be a big lawsuit against the school if they fired them because they decide to walk out. Big lawsuit.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I mean, teachers are important because, I mean, you look at the kids who are homeschooled and you're like, that guy's kind of weird. You can always tell when someone's homeschooled.
I always wonder how kids that are homeschooled, like, where their education is compared to.
Well, I actually was really, whenever I went to JUCO, I was really good friends with someone who was homeschooled, and I actually had no idea because I knew a family that had like 13 kids. They were my neighbors whenever I was younger, and you could tell they were homeschooled because they were kind of weird, and I just don't think they had the social norms that public school kids had, but eventually they integrated into public school, and they had some struggle, but eventually they were fine, but yeah, I don't know. I guess you just can't really tell. It's like hit or miss, but I don't know. It's a thing.
But yeah, I'm interested to see where where this goes, how long
Mhm.
that they'll be on strike for. I mean, they seem like they're outraged that, you
Yeah.
know, basically lied, saying, you know, like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. For sure, we're
Mhm.
on the same page. And then it's kind of a backhand, like,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the face.
Mhm.
Like, just kidding.
Yeah,
We lied.
it doesn't seem as evil on the surface as normal, because I mean that is a good question. Where are we going to get this money to be paying these teachers and stuff? So I don't think it seems like a ha 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 stupid teachers. It's like, we want to work with you, but hang on, we're trying this stuff,
Right.
but the teachers are like, we need this now. Come on,
Yeah.
come on, push. So hopefully the protest will lead to them pushing, and then everything will go back to normal, and children will be educated again.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Love some good education.
And was that my last story?
It
And you did your
was.
stories? Okay, so
Yes.
we have a new segment that is untitled on this podcast, because sometimes, you know, we don't end on high notes. This one's kind of a mediocre note. It's not necessarily low nor high, but we look for a lot of articles every time we film our podcast, and sometimes we come across really funny headlines. So we decided to start this new segment where we take some of the funniest headlines that we found, don't actually read the article, but then kind of talk about, like, why did they write this, and just kind of wonder about it. And as an example, this is from the Daily Beast. I was scrolling through and found this article. It said, Bon Jovi is trying to change the wine world, which Bon Jovi is from the 80s. He's an 80s rocker. He has a couple songs, and one, I didn't even know he was alive. Two,
You're kidding.
no, I'm dead serious. I didn't know he was alive. I didn't think he was
Bon
dead.
Jovi?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, he's not tweeting every day, is he?
Well, he's older.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's
You
like,
would know if Bon Jovi died. I was a big Bon Jovi
I think so.
fan.
Yeah, that's true.
Some of his
yeah.
music is really good to run to.
But like, what's he doing in the wine world, and why is he trying to change it?
Maybe he's opening his own vineyard.
That's true. That's true. Maybe using all the royalties from his music career, and then starting
Yes.
something completely new.
With all the experience he has with that.
Yeah.
Probably.
Well, Jonathan Bon Jovi, I wish you the best of luck in your pursuit to change the wine world.
Yes, best
So-
of luck to you.
And you had a headline.
I do. It's about Matthew McConaughey. The internet, this is from Time. The internet thinks Matthew McConaughey needs a dictionary because of this one thing he said at the 2018 Oscars. All right, all right, all right. That is a very long headline.
Yeah, that is a huge headline.
Kind of makes me want to read it just because
Yeah.
what is the one thing you said?
There's so much going on. It's like, that's a mini story of itself. Yeah, what did he say? What do you think he said at the Oscars? What was he nominated
His
for?
word, I don't know, but
Yeah,
it's
I
about
think-
the word literally.
Oh, maybe he said
He said,
just misused it.
yeah, so
We're breaking our
his
rule.
job as a presenter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was too interested.
Yeah, we have
his
to know.
job as a presenter on Sunday night because of his incorrect use of the word literally.
Well, now we got to know did he just say there's literally 5 people in the audience, and then there were more than 5 people?
I think it was about a trick that was in a movie or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I didn't
I
read
don't
that
know.
far into it, but
Matthew McConaughey, send him a dictionary. There was another one. I think you found this from The
I
Verge. If
did.
you want to read it, it's
how a beach umbrella fatally impaled a woman with 800 pounds of force.
I think the short answer to that is the wind. That's how
yes.
it did that. But I didn't know that beach umbrellas were so dangerous. I've seen that one video, maybe it was a Vine or something, where someone's like filming the beach and like all
Yeah,
these umbrellas
yeah.
are attacking people. So was it the front? I wonder if it was the front or the back.
I'm
that-
assuming it's the stake that goes in the ground.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking
Gosh.
right now because you know how we said that this is we're gonna end on a high note,
Oh, yes,
but
yes.
now it's just kind of sad because
Yeah,
someone
that's-
got
she
impaled
got
by an
impaled.
umbrella. That's not
Um,
very fun.
And it's fatally, yeah.
Yeah, well,
Okay, well, we'll do a safety precaution. So it's really windy out in Kansas. So if you're listening to this, do not bring your umbrellas anywhere. I know it's snowing and kind of raining, but like, get over it, because you might lose track of your umbrella and you might fatally impale someone like this
Exactly.
woman. Learn from other people's mistakes, folks. So that's all we have for today's episode of the KPC podcast. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. We work hard on these, and it would be nice to have a good job instead of that one. We got a hate comment on a video saying that I was racist for not being racist. So say something nice, share it with your friends, subscribe to our channel, and we will see you tomorrow with our news.